In this week's episode of Assassination Classroom, Itona reveals one of Koro-Sensei's greatest weaknesses, and all of the students of Class 3E get cool assassin code names. This week's episode of Assassination Classroom proved that despite the fact that Itona Horibe is very antisocial, he's going to fit in just fine with Class 3E. In fact, he makes friends really quick. That's because he's devising this assassination technique where he's going to take this high-tech RC tank and he's going to use that to kill Koro-Sensei. And that's because he knows where one of his greatest weaknesses is located. It's his heart, which apparently is right underneath his tie. Itona will not be working alone. He is joined by many of the male students of Class 3E, and the main reason for this is because they don't want this tank to kill Koro-Sensei. They actually just want to use its little hidden spy camera so that they can look up girls' skirts. And even when they put all of their heads together trying to come up with the perfect plan, the tank still ends up getting destroyed by a wild, rabid weasel that looks like a bat from out of hell. The important thing about the first half of the episode, it's showing that Itona is assimilating with the class, making new friends, and he is officially a part of Terasaka's group. The second half of the episode is where things start to get really ridiculous, and it's also one of those things that's kind of like based on the culture of Japan, where there are some people who have names which have like a double meaning. There's the character of Kimura Masayoshi, and his name altogether actually means justice. He was named by his parents because they were police officers, and they felt that this would be an appropriate title. Kimura, on the other hand, doesn't exactly like his name because he gets made fun of all the time, but this starts this big dialogue with the classroom where they decide that they all want code names, just like those assassins they met when they were on the island. And thus begins the ridiculousness of naming all of the students. They all have some appropriate but pretty ridiculous names, and I just want to talk about some of my favorites. The Baseball Geek, the Lanky Artist, President Poverty, the Bipolar Sniper, where if you actually are a sniper, bipolar is one of the last things that you want to be. I love the fact that Karasuma's codename is the Densest, which of course is a play on the fact that he's incredibly dense and oblivious to all of Professor Bitch's advances. Speaking of which, Professor Bitch does not get a codename, and that's because she's just a bitch. Womanizing Scumbag, Fluffy Stag Beetle, Director Mushroom, Mistress Kanzaki, Home Plate, Lufa, the Picture Book Graduate. One of my personal favorites is for Terasaka. He is known as the Pseudo Takaoka, and that makes sense. He looks almost exactly like the character. My personal favorite goes to Kaede Kayano, who is forever flat. They just for some reason want to continue to torture Kayano for having absolutely no bust size. It's pretty strange. Poison Specs, English Lass, the Terminal Perv, and of course Nagisa, whose name is simply just Gender. That's because, you know, he kind of looks like a chick and kind of looks like a dude. This manga is amazing. Semi-senioritis for Karma Akabane, of course. Scrunchies and boobs, and my personal favorite, dating sim emo character. The humor behind the scene, of course, is that they take all of the superficial qualities of these students and they give them a ridiculous codename. By the end of the episode, they finally decide to go back to normal, and Koro-Sensei reassures them that it's not their name that really matters. It's the impact that they leave on the world. The end of the episode also gives us a tease at the return of the principal and his son, Gakushu. They're continuing to do what they always do, which is threaten each other in a dark room by throwing a basketball in each other's face as hard as they can. Family love. So what's the rundown on this week's episode of Assassination Classroom? This is an episode I simply can't do justice. It's one of those like purely comedic episodes that you kind of have to see to believe. The creativity from this episode just came from the ridiculousness of all of the different names of the characters, which were, oddly enough, incredibly appropriate for every single character. What I really loved about it, though, is that Koro-Sensei actually forced the students to come up with these names by writing them down and actually drawing from them, and they chose the best results. And of course, they went with the most embarrassing ones possible. But the biggest takeaway from the episode, of course, is that Itona is definitely going to be comfortable in Class 3E. He's already making new friends, he's already hanging out with them continuously, and he's sharing the secrets of destroying Koro-Sensei. A secret that Koro-Sensei knew he was going to reveal to the class, so maybe he's going to up the ante in terms of actually getting away from all of their assassination techniques. What I will say is this episode was pretty damn funny, had some great comedic timing, some pretty good animation and artwork, and again, the series is built upon by its amazing characters, which are varied and ridiculous and lots of fun. This episode also had a little bit of teasing at the end as we move into the next episode. So, I absolutely love this one. I got a lot of laughs out of it, and it got me thinking, what would my code name actually be? If I were to guess, I would say Eternal Geek Badass. But if you had a code name, what would it be? Please tell me in the comments section below, and make sure to tell me what you want to see from the next episode of Assassination Classroom. As far as a score for this episode, I thought it was really good, although I was kind of hoping for a little more action and maybe a little more revelations on Koro-Sensei and his past. That being said, this was still a really funny and enjoyable episode, so I'm going to give this one right here a 4 out of 5. Check it out, Ass Class fans. You might see something you like. Thank you guys for watching my review. Make sure to like it, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you guys again for watching, and as always, stay dandy, baby.